Hi everybody, welcome to Grumpy Old Men for another week. I'm Tim Newton.
And I'm Steve Rosse.
And it's really good to have you with us as we broadcast from a beach somewhere in Thailand. Well, Steve's house on a beach somewhere in Thailand, and we're both very, very lucky, we know, to be relatively healthy and to live in a beautiful, don't touch the table. How many times we've done...
That was bad luck, wasn't it?
Yes.
The old saw does not hold true.
So I was actually going to start not talking about Thailand. I was going to talk about a phenomenon in your home country that came to note last week in the area of entertainment, and there have been a few things worth talking about. The first one was the Disney. You know the Disney Corporation?
I've heard of them somewhere, yeah.
Yes. Used to, every Sunday night, we'd all sit down, we'd watch Disneyland.
The Wonderful World of Disney.
And Mr. Walt Disney would come in and walk from behind his desk and say, "Hi, everybody."
Anti-Semite.
Yes. Little did we know.
Yeah.
But they're going to remake the very first animated feature film with sort of real-life characters. And they're remaking Snow White.
Oh.
Now, if I say the title to you, it's Snow White
And the Seven Dwarfs.
Okay.
Yeah.
But these days, things have got so PC ridiculous that they're not going to go and hire 7 people of low stature. They're going to do it as sort of funny mystical characters, and it's all going to be CGI.
Elves, trolls.
Because they said, they can't possibly... And the person they're putting into the role of Snow White, who's named Snow White because
her skin is white as snow.
She's a Hispanic actor. So the whole thing's gone completely ludicrous. What do you have to say? Can you make some excuses for the Disney Corporation? Because it just seems we're going to be watching Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and it's going to be sort of Maria from Mexico and 7 creatures we have no idea who they are.
Yeah, seven leftover hobbits from Peter Jackson. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
what's Peter Dinklage going to do next year? I mean, he had the title role of Dwarf number 1.
Did you see his Cyrano? Oh my God,
Cyrano de Bergerac.
Yes,
no.
He did Cyrano on the screen. It was glorious. The guy can act.
Oh, he's a good actor.
God, he can
Great
act.
actor.
And Cyrano is self-conscious about his appearance, so he doesn't have the huge nose in this iteration. He's a dwarf. Cyrano... Yeah, he's a dwarf.
Oh, okay.
Which, Cyrano in the novel and in every other iteration of this story, he's got a huge nose. You remember Steve Martin in Roseanne? He had a big plastic nose on his face. No, they've twisted it a little bit, updated it, and he's a dwarf, which is the medical word for somebody with dwarfism. Achondroplasia is a type of dwarfism. It's not a midget. They're two different things. And a midget is somebody who doesn't have growth hormones. They're perfectly proportioned little tiny people. A dwarf has a big head, thick arms, thick thighs. Often their legs are stubby. They have
short.
Yeah. But a midget, if you photographed a midget with nothing else in the frame, you wouldn't know he had anything different about him because he's perfectly formed.
I've never met anybody who I could describe as a midget.
That's because in the early 1900s, they invented artificial growth hormones. And now, if a child displays that, they give him a shot every week. And
you're not touching the desk, are you?
I'm sorry.
Just checking.
But at any rate, so I'm PC about language. I want language to be accurate and specific and precise. So these were dwarves. They were not midgets. People use those terms interchangeably. As far as Disney being PC, Hollywood has always catered to the audience. You want people to buy tickets. Now, right now, the audience for feature films is in Asia. It's in China and India. Americans don't go to the theater anymore. Europeans rarely go to the theater anymore. So that's why there's no sex in the Marvel movies, right? Because it's made for the Chinese audience.
I went to the cinema last week.
Well, you're an aberration in many ways. But so why they would be concerned about PC when the bulk of their audience doesn't give a rat's ass about anything PC and still, uses all sorts of epithets, I don't know. But
the thing is, I get it. Things like dwarf throwing competitions. I mean, yeah, okay, that's silly. That should be banned. But the dwarves in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs were enterprising, generally
wealthy as Croesus.
generally happy.
They owned a diamond mine.
Except for Grumpy, he wasn't happy.
That's why he was grumpy.
But they were generally sort of, enterprising, hard-working, and they were very helpful to Snow White. I don't know why. Then we haven't sort of made them bad. Or I heard this and I thought, the place has gone completely crazy.
I have never gone to work singing hi ho, it's off to work we go. I've never in my life, 65 years, been that happy to go to work. So they are very upbeat, positive, sympathetic characters.
Sure.
I am not invited to those board meetings at Disney, so I don't know what the thinking was behind that. But it's, Hollywood. Hollywood changes with the audience. Hollywood provides what the audience asks for. So there's a focus group out there somewhere that said we want a Hispanic Snow White.
I haven't noticed or seen a lot of Asian people with dwarfism. It may be that it's not as prominent in the...
I don't know. That's an interesting question.
I'm
trying to think if I've seen any dwarves in Asia. Perhaps they stay home more. I don't know. It's an interesting question. I'd never thought about that.
But on the same level, and this affects everybody. I mean, I get that you may not go and see the new Snow White, but the American Actors Guild have gone out in strike.
SAG-AFTRA.
Along with all the writers.
Yeah.
So we're now in a situation where all those programs that we like to watch on our Netflix and our HBO, there's going to be no new programs. No. We're going to be watching reruns of Get Smart and Hogan's Heroes and F-Troop.
No, we'll be driven to TikTok and Instagram, and our literacy and our attention spans will be shortened and shortened. These guys are cutting off their nose to spite their face.
Well, yes and no. When I hear Fran Drescher, of all people, who's become the president of SAG, she's great.
Yeah.
I want her on my side.
Sure. Yeah,
I like
terrific.
the way she speaks very eloquently.
Yeah.
It's still sounding like the nanny.
Sure.
Fran Drescher from the nanny.
The nanny.
She'd be in her 60s now.
Guessing, yes.
And anyway, but I'm worried about what we're going to watch on our Netflix. We're probably going to have more makeover shows.
Well, more Korean shows,
more
certainly.
Korean shows.
Yeah, you're going to see French shows and German shows showing up. You're going to get perhaps a wider diversity.
Maybe Netflix could be just about ready to contact you and me.
Oh, yeah, I'd work for Netflix. If you're listening, Netflix, contact me through the comment section. Sure.
Now, I actually did a bit of an experiment. Unfortunately, it's on that computer which is recording the program at the moment. But I thought that one of the things that the actors or the writers are worried about, that there's AI, things like ChatGPT, is going to be used to write scripts. So I actually did an experiment and I said, hi, because I always say hello, and I always say
greet the robot.
And
sure,
I always say thank you as well.
Yeah, Asimov taught us you greet the robot.
And I said, write a three-person, 5-minute script about two guys called Tim and Steve. Tim came first, of course, and they meet a mermaid called Barbie. And Steve gets jealous because Tim and Barbie get along, and it wrote a script.
Yeah.
And I was going to get us to perform it, but we needed a third person to be Barbie. And there wasn't anybody...
I got a whole box of Barbies over
Sure. You got it on our voice. Yeah. But the script was so banal.
Sure it is.
It's been... ChatGPT's been so dumbed down now. It's not sort of creative. So if they're worried about ChatGPT writing anything resembling a good script, they got nothing to worry about.
Well, but the technology's improving. My first impression is there's two questions: ChatGPT writing scripts and the computers taking your image. They capture your image, particularly for extras in the background, and then they use that forever. They stick you in every movie they make. and they own that image of you, and they can use it however they want. That's more frightening, because I'm certain writers in Hollywood are using GPT, whatever it is. They're using AI right now.
Do you think so?
Yes, I certainly would. Instead of spending months outlining a script, have the computer do your outline, then you put the human in it. Then you insert the jokes, you bring the funny, you make it a good script, but let the computer do the grunt work, the shit work of outlining your story for you, because all of that is formula. Every story you've ever heard, you've ever seen, you've ever written is written to a formula. Read Joseph Campbell. We tell the same stories over and over and over and over. So writers have been forever doing that preliminary outline. Okay, let the machine do that outline. I'm sure they're doing that now.
Yeah, but
these guys walking the picket lines have been using it to outline their scripts at home.
Speaking a bit, I was at the movie last week to see the latest Indiana Jones. Mm-hmm. And the first 15 minutes, we see Indiana Jones as a sort of a 35-year-old. Mm-hmm. And
image capture.
And what they did is they sort of mapped a young Harrison Ford's face onto another actor, and I mean, you cannot tell the difference. Mm-hmm. Obviously, he gave permission for that to happen.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the movie, he's a sort of a 70-year-old.
He's the wealthiest actor who's ever lived, and he owns a big piece of the Indiana Jones franchise. What was I going to say? I had something lined up.
Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford.
Yeah. Christopher Lee in the second new Star Wars movie. They brought back dead Christopher Lee that way, and the world went nuts. The world of Star Wars fandom went nuts.
Christopher Lee. He
played...
it was the person that played Grand Moff Tarkin.
Yeah. That's not Christopher Lee?
No, Christopher Lee played
the bad wizard in... the white wizard in Lord of the Rings. No, anyway, they did this guy in Star Wars.
Sir Ian McKellen.
He's the good wizard. He's Gandalf the Grey.
Oh, okay.
There's Saruman the White, who is, I think, Christopher Lee. Anyway, next week, Steve got it wrong. We'll correct all this.
Yes.
But that was the first time I remember it being used, and oh my God, the Star Wars fandom, all the fanboys just went nuts about that. Half of them thinking it's the greatest thing in the world, because you get to see old characters you've grown up with doing something new, saying new lines, involved in new plots.
Carrie Fisher, they did her doing the line, which would have been the first of Star Wars number 4, A New Hope. But in that break-off Star Wars movie, oh God, we're getting so mixed up now. But they did the same with Carrie Fisher.
Yeah.
Doing a young Carrie Fisher.
Recreated Carrie Fisher.
And that didn't look particularly realistic, but the Grand Moff Tarkin, I thought they did get that right.
Now, I'll say one last thing, remembering that when this
is going somewhere, by the way.
I'm promising nothing. When this, Sunday morning, when this is on the air, the whole strike may be over and they may be back to work. I don't know.
I bet it's not.
Well, probably not. I was considering going out in '81 with the writers. I was in the IA. And I was considering going out, and it would have cost me my job, but I was ready to do it because my family has been in officers in collective bargaining units since we came to America. My grandfather was in the Meat Packers Union, my mother was in the NEA, and I was in 7 or 8 or 9 different unions in my checkered employment history. But what strikes me is these celebrities getting on the news and saying, look, we're all just working stiffs, just like Joe the plumber. We haven't had a raise in 10 years. We're just working stiffs like you, Mr.
They've got 10 million in the bank.
Well, no, listen, I used to be a techie. I didn't have 10 million in the bank. I had a serious cocaine problem. I might have had 10 million in the bank if I hadn't. But my point is, anybody who goes into show business, any aspect of the show business, on stage, off stage, backstage, you're not a working stiff. That's why you chose the show business. You're a narcissist. You're an attention seeker. You're an artist. You're an expressive person. You're an outgoing person. Nobody working in any aspect of the show business is just a working stiff. So for me, that's very disingenuous, that argument. Hey, we're just like you, auto workers. No, you're not. Don't pretend now. Jay McInerney, the author of Bright Lights, Big City, best line he ever wrote. The movie crew wore their self-importance like uniforms. And anytime you walk past any production on the street, you can tell who's with the movie. They don't wear uniforms, but they swagger. Yeah, I'm crew. Out of my way, I'm crew. I'm carrying a sandbag. That's my job. I carry sandbags on the set. But get out of my way. I'm on the crew. Bum, ba-da-bum, ba-da-bum.
Interestingly, one of the things were one of the studios went out before all this and they said, look, what we're going to do with AI is we're going to get Steve Rosse to come in. We'll pay him as an extra for a day. We'll get him to stand in front of a green screen and we'll scan his body, and then we'll get him to sign off that we can use his image for the rest of his life, and we'll put him in hundreds of movies.
Yeah.
So the extras are all going, that doesn't really sound like a good deal.
No, it doesn't.
So I think there is certainly plenty to talk about.
And there's not, just to beat this dead horse further, no plumbers are afraid of AI, right? No bricklayers, no roofers are afraid of brick. You're not just a working stiff because your image is valuable.
Yeah.
What you look like is valuable. Shit, I had an anecdote lined up.
Well, while you're doing
I'll tell
that,
you what,
shit. I showed you this last week, and we'll put it up on the full screen. But we had somebody who got some pictures of the grumpy old men. By the way, if you go out on strike, it'll just be grumpy old man.
It will be.
You saw this, didn't you?
Did I? That's pretty amazing.
Yes.
That's AI.
That's AI. That's turning
Holy crap.
Tim and Steve into two Japanese gentlemen.
That's my house as a Chinese restaurant.
Yes.
I love that. That's whoever sent that. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And this one, we've been turned into two old Thai grumpy old men. Here you go. What do you think
like
about
that? You know what?
I sent these to you.
Yeah, AI can be entertaining. I like that. You said, I don't remember if it happened before breakfast. I don't remember it at all.
I said about 3 weeks ago. But when I was at the movie, when you go to the movies in Thailand, what happens before the movie?
Pa-pum, pa-pum, pum, pum, pa-pum, pa-pum. You stand up.
Well, not anymore. Not a sausage. Nobody stood up. Nobody even looked around to see if people are going to stand up.
Yeah.
So no more about that, but you know where we're coming from. Let's don't touch the table.
Sorry.
Or through the proxy duck. The next thing we're going to talk about, you've got things to talk about.
I do.
Off you go.
I'd like to start with Steve got it wrong because there's just a few items.
Where do we start?
Catherine O'Hara was Moira in Schitt's Creek. I named the wrong actress.
Catherine O'Hara,
Catherine
wonderful.
O'Hara.
As Moira in Schitt's Creek, she killed it.
Yeah. And I was thinking of the younger woman. What's his name? The father and son in that.
Eugene Levy and
Dan Levy.
Dan Levy.
Father and son. And the sister plays the waitress in the coffee shop.
Oh, that's the sister.
Doesn't play the real sister, or doesn't play the character sister.
Oh.
She's the waitress. She is the Levy, but I think she goes by her married name.
Okay.
She appears by her married name.
All right.
But Moira was Catherine O'Hara. Brian Franklin, I wrote down a name. Brian Franklin reminds me. I had said, I'm a bachelor. I don't have to worry about that. He says, no, a bachelor is a man who's never been married, and you've been married, Steve. You are a divorced man. Mea culpa. You're exactly right.
Oh, come on, we need to come up with a term for you. Gigolo?
Steve works great. In Thai, lung tip works great.
So you're divorced man.
I'm a divorced man.
Okay.
A lot of people.
You're a sort of a new age bachelor.
I am what I am.
Or a rebooted bachelor?
I repel labels. No labels stick to me. I'm Teflon. And the moment, and that's good for YouTube. I think the moment an audience can figure you out and knows what you're about,
yes.
they start to lose interest. These days, people want novelty, they want spontaneity, they want impulse, and there's a guy named Pee Wee Howold. Do you know his?
Pee Wee
Howold. I think he's German. And he's got a YouTube channel based in Thailand, and the guy just does free association, dyes his hair funny colors, wears funny clothes, plays with dolls and toys. And 90% of the jokes for me don't land. Maybe I'm not German, but 10% do. But at least this guy is trying. He's not doing the old cookie cutter shit. And I give props to Pee-wee for that.
Well, 5 days of the week I spend doing some news stuff, and then on Sundays I sit and talk to you.
Sorry. You drive up here. You make the drive.
I don't know.
I don't force you.
Luckily, I know my way back.
Oh, I want to. We talked last week about Thai Talk with Dan.
Yes.
And I said, I had only seen one episode. I'd watched the whole episode, but I had only seen that one episode. And he inserts these memes of screaming goats and stuff to punctuate what his correspondents write into his channel. And I said, boy, that's rude. These people are your subs. These people are writing into you. They're your fans, and they're asking you for your advice, and you're making fun of them. Well, he pointed out, 1,700 other people pointed out, and I went and watched a couple more videos. Yeah, he does it with everybody. They know it's coming. They expect it. So I take back that quibble.
It's part of his shtick, isn't it?
It is. It's part of his shtick.
He's just got those sort of 3-second go.
Little memes you get for free, I guess.
Sure. The lion and the...
Oh, and somebody gave it real good, and you can stop. I've got dozens of these. You can stop me anytime you want. You know how YouTube is now putting numbers on the end of our names?
Yes.
Yeah. You can go in and take that out so you can just be Steve Ross again. Because apparently, if YouTube has decided you are Steve Ross 364321, anybody else can come in there and launch a new channel called Steve Ross or insert your name here.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
So you go into settings and then do things Steve's not familiar with.
Yeah.
But in settings,
You've got to be a pilot to sort of get into the settings of YouTube, let me tell you.
A lot of other people, this is my last Steve got it wrong, and then we can shift over to you. I had said I found it difficult. Somebody had said, how has the scene changed? My familiarity with the commercial sex industry is 35 years old. How has it changed, Steve? You've been here 15 months now. How has it changed? And I said, well, you can't find the girlfriend experience these days. It used to be they were all playing the long game, and now they're all playing the short game.
Which was sort of the antithesis of what
yes,
Dan
exactly
is.
the opposite of what Dan espouses.
Yes.
Half the people who responded said, Steve, it's still out there. You can't find it because you're poor, old, and fat. I've had a week. I haven't come up with an argument for that.
I did read those. I wasn't going to be rude.
Yeah, you're right.
I did see them.
But the other half,
deleted a few
or
too.
at least a few, said, well, there is the old expression, Farang lumak, my di. A Farang who knows a lot is no good. And this is a common expression. And if I slip, I try not to speak Thai in the bars or the massage parlor. But if I slip and speak Thai, immediately you've got that rumak suspicion. And they know I'm not going to buy them a farm in Yasaton. They can show me a picture of their daughter in the hospital bed and say, oh, she's got appendicitis. I have to pay for an operation. And I'm going to say, boy, that's terrible. We still on for Thursday?
Yes, exactly.
So, yeah. So perhaps it's Farang Ruma. That's all of my Steve got it wrong.
That's all you got wrong?
Yeah, I know.
There was a lot more. There was come on, you're not trying hard enough.
Yeah, come on, I can take it. Ready.
All right. By the way, Netflix, if you do want to contact us, I'm looking at the wrong camera thing. If you do want to contact us, you can write to timnewtontoday@gmail.com, 9010. I'll sort out. You just pay me,
that's
and
fine.
I'll fix Steve up. Don't you worry.
I know my place. I'm the second banana. I'm happy to be the second banana.
And when it comes to the titles,
Newton and Ross. You know, Abbott hated Costello, but he never left the act.
Abbott and Costello.
Abbott and Costello.
Martin and Lewis.
Martin and Lewis. They hated each other, and eventually they did split up.
Johnny Carson and
Ed McMahon.
Else. Oh, it was
Ed McMahon.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think they got along okay.
Here's Johnny.
So, now, one thing we have had in recent weeks, and we don't talk politics on the station, on this particular program, That's all right. I'm not just
Yeah,
see where I'm going here.
Semiotics.
And we have had a situation in Thailand where the outcome people were expecting from the election has not transpired the way they thought it would, or other people have said, well, what did you expect? We hear what you're saying and we'll let the Thais work it out. However, it did strike me that generally Southeast Asia doesn't do democracy very well.
Neither does my country, apparently. Yeah.
Well, that's another... And we don't want to get into that. We do not want to get into that. But I just thought for a moment, let's try and contemplate Southeast Asian democracy. And somebody said, I can't stand the situation in Thailand anymore. I'm going to Vietnam. I'm thinking, well, that's communist, darling. You're not going to find much happiness there if you're looking at the way the politics work.
Jumping out of the pan into the fire.
Laos, communist. Myanmar, well, complete fascist basket case. Vietnam, as we mentioned, a communist government. Malaysia, sort of a theocracy, which is layered with some sort of constitutional monarchy. Indonesia, sort of, but it's also got a sort of a theocracy overlaying it.
In Cambodia?
Hun Sen's been in power for, I think, 38 years. The Prime Minister and the opposition leader, I think he sent into exile last week.
And he considered himself lucky that he got to go away.
And
they let Pol Pot live in a cabin on a mountain until he died of old age.
And so we covered just about the Philippines. Well, yes, sort of, kind of. It doesn't really do democracy that well. They had a good shot of it with Cory Aquino when she, the yellow power thing, kicked out Ferdinand Marcos Sr. Now they've got Ferdinand Marcos Jr., who became the president. Filipinos forgive, apparently.
Yeah. Well, we forgave Kennedy for Chappaquiddick,
Did you?
Yeah. America did, yeah. He was the grand old man of the Senate for 30 years.
Is he still around?
No, I think Ted Kennedy's dead.
Okay.
But yeah, we love dynasties. Everybody loves dynasties. It was a great TV show.
Oh, they've got the RFK now.
Yes, they got RFK
Jr. He's a complete...
And
I'm getting into...
JFK Jr., who was a better magazine publisher than he was a pilot. And we love,
dynasties.
The Bushes.
Dynasties or dynasties?
In America, dynasties.
Okay.
Yeah, the show was Dynasty. Yeah.
We had Dynasty.
And that is as far as I care to go with politics, because it just...
Would you like to reflect on Southeast Asian democracy? 30 seconds and go.
I'm glad it's nothing to do with me. I mean, I understand.
We live here, though.
We do. And visa laws change with governments. But it's easy to ignore here on Turtle Beach. And maybe I ignore it at my peril. But I've been retired 15 months. I have not watched the news except your show for 15 months. And
the only reason you watch my show is to pick me up on grammar mistakes and to give me a sort of a rating out of 10. I haven't got past 3, by the way.
No, I learned from you.
I would like to... I've got questions from our viewer.
All right. Cool.
Who's our viewer? We've got Clive. Who else we got?
Hey, Clive, how you doing, bud? Yeah.
We got
Clive's Tom Lloyd.
Yeah. It's 2?
Yeah.
Who are the ladies that came to visit you a few weeks ago?
Dana and Molly and...
ladies?
Roy Cooper came very recently. And brought me gifts, gave me a new backpack. Roy, if you're watching, that pink backpack, man, that rocks. That's a great tool. Thank you for that. Thank you for that backpack.
Can you bring me one? Hey, look, if you're bringing things to Steve, bring 2 of them, all right?
I'll just smoke.
There's no Steve without Tim. You just remember that. Okay, this is from John, 6142. He says, I would like to hear the story of how you and Steve got to know each other, I suppose, and what led to you doing the show together. We do get asked this often. Thank you for the very entertaining way that you start my Sundays. Love you both. Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
I think it was like a Bangkok sauna or something.
We spent 2 years together in a cell in a Mexican prison.
Yeah, something like that.
Honest to God, I mean, I knew you. I think I sold some story to the Tiger in 2014 or 16 or something.
You are hassling me.
Yeah, there was a typo.
Hustling me for a job and picking me up on mistakes and typos, which you don't have to worry anymore because it's all written by AI.
Yeah. I do not remember the first
You're
time
touching the desk again.
I do not remember the first time we met physically.
I contacted you when I heard you were here and said, let's have a coffee. And I think I took you to the cafe on Caron Beach.
Oh.
It was our first date. You can't remember.
It was a date for coffee.
And I don't know why, but I came back for a second one, and here we are.
Yeah, here we are.
Something like that.
From that tiny acorn to the mighty oak of this channel.
We should have just recorded that thing, and because we're going to get asked every week, how did you two guys meet?
We'll have an FAQ section.
But we'll have to come up with a much better story.
Yeah, I like the Mexican prison story.
Yeah, I'm
I got Jesus tattooed on my back.
Not Thailand related, but I'm keen to hear Steve's views on the ongoing SAG and Writers Guild strikes. I think we've addressed that one, and that was from KJ. So hopefully that did prompt me to put it in my notes.
Oh.
I'd like Tim and Steve to ask their viewers, our viewer, a question. What's the best food you've had in Thailand? I think we're going to have to answer this as well. But we want your responses. Okay, because it's a sort of a joint thing. What's the best food you've had in Thailand, and where was it? Wheels in motion? You'll just say what you had today.
Oh.
Nothing too expensive. For example, I had the best, by a country mile, says Simon W., pork noodle soup ever a few weeks ago in Phetchaburi.
Well, I know that place.
60 baht. I had pork.
It's a good price.
I had pork noodle soup for lunch today, but without the noodles.
Yeah.
It was half a pig in a bowl.
Yeah.
With some vegetables. Actually, it was very, very nice.
Yeah, it was a huge slab of stewed meat in a bowl with some
I'm
bean
assuming
sprouts.
it was pig, but
no carbs at all. No
guarantee.
carbs at all.
So that's why I'm running out of steam. So, best food you've ever had?
Well, I worked at a place called the Boathouse on Phuket for 4 years.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and I ate for free there, of course. I ate for free at the Phuket Yacht Club, at the Le Méridien, and at the Boathouse. And I had been in Thailand when I got hired at the Boathouse. I think I'd been here 5 years, and I was in that place where, God, you're just craving Falang food. You know, you've been eating rice for 5 years. You want a piece of bread. And, oh, God, the kitchen at the Boathouse was wonderful. I have no idea how it is now because they won't let me in the door. The place is now...
Have you tried?
Yes. Of course, I tried to go in and walk to my office. Unfortunately, I came in off the beach in shorts and an open shirt and sand on my toes, and I walked in off the beach, and there's like a gate there, guests only. And I said, well, 30 years ago, I worked here. I can come in. And they let me know, toot sweet, here's the front door, sir. Don't let it hit you in the ass on your way out.
What did they actually say to you?
Oh, I don't remember. It was a very pleasant
sir.
young lady, but it was, you're not welcome here. You're not dressed, sir. You're not dressed. But at that time, the kitchen was probably the best on Phuket at the Boathouse, and certainly the wine cellar was the second best in Southeast Asia, according to Wine Spectator magazine. And I ate 2 meals a day at the Boathouse for about 3-4 years.
I'm tipping you would have been a little bit larger than you are now.
I was a big fat pig. Yeah, when we left in '97, I was a bloated tick. I mean, until I came back 15 months. I've lost 15 pounds in 15 months.
Looking good.
Thank you. It's the bicycle. I give all credit to the bicycle.
Sure.
But anyway, that's I think the best food I ever had in Thailand.
Look, I'm going to be a little bit contrarian here.
All right. I'm going to get some water. You speak.
Okay. I do love my... where's he going? I do love my... we get table service here. It's very, very good.
Again, the Boathouse's influence.
What year is this?
This is this morning. This vintage is this morning.
Okay.
But it's not tap water. I bought a bottle of water.
Just checking. Do you think the tap water here... I have to say in Phuket, I'm very, very, very sure I could drink the tap water and have no problem at all. It looks fine. It smells fine. I'm thinking it probably is fine, but I'm not. I just don't want to try.
At 12 baht for, what is it,
There you go.
10 liters or something.
It's ridiculous.
I'll do the, and just be sure.
Water is so cheap here.
But yeah, I brush my teeth in the tap water. I bathe in the tap water. I do laundry in the tap water. I suppose whatever's in it, I am, at least by osmosis, consuming. But no, I as long as it's that cheap, I'll always keep a couple big bottles of water in the house.
So I do love my Thai food, and Thai food, breakfast usually not, but my lunch and my dinner is usually Thai. But I have to say, the joy once a month, after all that great Thai food, is going into McDonald's and having a Big Mac. It just tastes amazing.
Yeah.
Just once a month.
Fish sandwich for me. Yeah.
Just go in and it just, wow.
Yeah.
The taste buds that it tickles haven't been tickled for a month by the Thai food, which is amazing and great. So I have to say, I really enjoy, for no particular, no reason that is reasonable, I do love that Big Mac once a month. I'm sorry.
The McDonald's in Khao Lak, I think, was closed for 3 years for COVID. And somebody down here said, "Hey, did you hear the McDonald's is open again?" I drove my motorcycle to Khao Lak in the rain and back to eat a fish sandwich. And the road between here and Khao Lak is up a mountain and down a mountain. Everything down here is up a mountain and down a mountain. Up and down a mountain. And acting. And I made that very dangerous trip on a little moped to have a fish sandwich. Yeah.
You're keen. Now, I'm not saying I love McDonald's all the time. I don't. But just once a month.
Yeah.
After all that Thai food, it just...
It's home, man. It
tastes
home.
Amazing.
And they do a very good job. You know, I've had McDonald's in Mexico and Japan. And it always tastes exactly like it does in Iowa City, Iowa.
Sure.
Because it's all plastic and extruded by a machine, of course. But that is comforting.
Allegedly.
Because how many times have you gone into a Thai restaurant that advertises an American breakfast and they serve you hot dogs? It says sausage links in the menu and they serve you hot dogs. How many times have you been disappointed by a hamburger or whatever? It doesn't taste like it does at home. McDonald's, Burger King, KFC, they taste like they do at home.
So here's another one, and this will be our last one for the day. By the way, if you do want to send us a question, well, I've had enough of. I need to.
All right.
I need a break.
Gee, I feel like we just started.
How long have we been going?
I don't talk
to. There?
I don't speak in English for a week until he gets here. So.
Sure. And you're not trying hard now. I read Steve's book, Leaving Thailand.
Thank you, whoever you are.
His name is Kevin Eagles.
Thank you, Kevin.
And he doesn't have any numbers after his name, so he's...
Guys, smart people read my book. Books.
If I
Kevin,
may ask
there's four more. Kevin, there's 4 more.
By the way, Steve's got his own channel. Steve Rosse with an E.
Thank you.
If I may ask the question, does Steve dream of Nu more or less since coming to Thailand? Nu must have been a character in Leaving Thailand. And being a memory that he treasures, would be rather not meet Nu if it was even possible to preserve that memory rather than have it changed. I'm just reading this as it said. I think it's wonderful to treasure a time when things just seemed perfect and things were going well in life rather than remember all the bad times. Tell us about, does Steve dream of Nu more or less? Tell us about Nu.
Okay, it's Nu, rising tone. It means little mouse. And very often you will hear young women refer to themselves as that, either Nong, little sister, or Nu, little mouse. Nu carries a degree of intimacy. Typically a geek will refer to herself that way with her sponsor. She's Nu. I chose that name. That is not the name of the woman in question, not her real name. I changed all the names in my book except my own. But I know who he's talking about. And I'll tell you, I'm not sure I track his whole question, but I'll tell you this, Kevin. One of the things I'm very proud of, one of the things I'm very, very not proud of is that I stalked Nu on social media for decades.
Is this in the book or?
The story of Nu is in the book. She was very important in my life.
And so you stalked the real Nu?
From America on social media.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's not stalking.
She would probably
grooming, perhaps.
She and her husband and her family would prefer I had not been doing that for 25 years. But she lives abroad. She married a very wealthy guy. And she lives abroad. She has children and a beautiful life. They travel everywhere. So I'd go to her Facebook page and the Facebook page of her sister-in-law and follow her life through years and years and years and years. And I was doing that fairly, maybe every couple months, up until the time I left the United States. Since I have been back in Thailand, I have thought of her maybe 5 times. That's it. Thailand cured me. And I think my obsession with her and my inability to let go of that love affair, which was only 5 months and 10 days. That's how long we lived together. 5 months and 10 days. And then she left me for somebody else.
Who had money?
No, she left me for a 20-year-old Italian professional football player who injured his knee in a match and came to Thailand to let his ACL heal from the surgery. And he was just a good-looking young guy, closer to her age. I was 33 and she was 18. So, yeah. And at any rate, yeah, she left me 5 months and 10 days. And I obsessed about that 5 months and 10 days for 25 more years. And I have not since I've been here. I think I was obsessing about her because it was part of my obsession with Thailand, my desire to come back here. And I was thinking, I'd go to every payday, I'd go to the Thai restaurant, get Thai food. And I think it was part of all that. Now that I'm back here, I don't need that, or I don't feel like I need to have to go do that. So Nu, if you're watching, Nu, you think of the Nike swoosh when you do that tone. Nu. Little mouse. If you're watching, I don't do that anymore. So sleep well tonight. I'm not out there looking at your posts anymore.
Is the Italian footballer still around?
Oh God, no. He dumped her as soon as his knee was healed. Yeah, he was a 20-year-old Italian guy. He's going to fall in love with a Thai bar girl? No, he's way too smart for that.
Okay. Yeah. And with that, hopefully that answered your question, Kevin Eagles, without a number. That's it for today's Grumpy Old Men. For those people saying, oh, come on, we want more. Well, you'll just have to wait till next week, or you can watch the other 20 episodes we've done. I haven't counted them, but I think we're up to number 20.
Back in the catalog.
Seems like more.
The greatest hits.
And Netflix, we're ready to do the program for you.
Mm-hmm. Turtle Game.
We can do it from here. So we don't expect much. I mean, I don't know, what, 20,000 a week per program?
Is that euros? Is that Aussie dollars? What is that? 20,000. Be specific.
A lot cheaper.
Use language.
And then you can use our likenesses.
Yeah. Honest to God, steal my likeness. Steal this face.
We could be the heads on the Dwarfs in your new Snow White, who's not that white, and the 7... we don't know what they are.
She washed out all the sugar. It's a line from the cartoon. Sorry.
Which cartoon?
Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. Snow White wakes up. They're at work. She cleans the whole house. Oh. And Goofy, I think it's the only line not Goofy. Dopey. I think it's the only line he says in the whole movie. He looks in his coffee cup and he says, she washed out all the sugar. Anyway, I digress.
So we are looking forward to seeing the new Snow White. Disney. It's going to be... people are going to be talking about it for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, but they'll talk about it. Yeah.
Thank you for watching. Steve Rosse, with an E, is his YouTube channel, and he waxes lyrical about all sorts of things, usually walking along the beautiful beach outside the front of his house, or he's recreating some stories at the Boontongs Beach Bar. Yeah. Which this week looks like it's in a jungle, just looking at it.
Yeah, that is this week's video is a story by John Cadet from the 1960s.
Oh, God.
And the headline is, Are Thai Women Cannibals?
Oh, there
So
you go.
look for that headline.
God, we're not going to miss that one.
Clickbait, baby.
So thanks for watching, Grumpy Old Men. Please subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe to Steve Ross with an E, not Stephen. No. Are you a PH or a V?
V. And just Steve.
Sorry.
There's no N.
And we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys. I love you.